If I were to ask you, what's the worst trophy ever made? What would you say? Infallible? Impossible, right? Social lubricant? I'm sure you've got something in mind. That one trophy burned into your memory because of how it made you feel. Maybe it was brutally difficult, demanding painstaking hours of effort. Maybe it was a mind-numbing slog fest, repeating the same thing thousands of times to reach some arbitrary number the devs thought was fun. Or maybe it was a completely random achievement, where you had to beat your head against a wall until RNGesus decided to bless you with the exact ones and zeros you needed. For me, the worst trophy ever made combines all of those evils. And it comes from a little game you may know. Splitgate, by 1047 Games. It's a first-person shooter, clearly inspired by Halo, but with a twist. They added a portal mechanic. Sounds great, right? Well, it also doesn't have a platinum trophy, which isn't terrible by itself, but after what I went through, let's just say the lack of a platinum stings a lot more. But enough stalling. What exactly is the worst trophy ever? It's a silver trophy called 1047. Yeah, named after the dev team. I'll give you 3 seconds to guess what the trophy requires you to do. Ding ding ding, time's up. If you said do something 1047 times, you'd be right. Now, you're probably thinking it's something reasonable, like 1047 kills or something else along those lines. But you'd be wrong, because this trophy is far from reasonable. For this trophy, you have to win 1047 matches. Now, 1047 matches might not sound too bad, so let me set the scene for you as to why exactly this trophy is so bad. Splitgate is an online multiplayer game, and in this economy, like many online games, the player base starts off strong and then plummets. So eventually, it's just the diehards playing. Now, I want to give you a visual representation of what a diehard in Splitgate looks like compared to an average player, just so you can have a better grasp on how difficult it could be to win against them. Now, here we have Exhibit A, an average Splitgate player, with average use of their portals. Notice how you can understand what they're doing. Now here's Exhibit B. Notice how this clip should have come with an epilepsy warning. If I ran into them, my chances of winning drop to near 0, and it becomes a total waste of time. Now, with just that, you might not think this trophy is that bad. But wait! There's more! Sometimes your wins don't count. Seriously, I had to win 1049 matches before it finally popped. And I've seen some poor souls have had to go beyond 1100. Now you might be wondering how long such a ridiculous trophy would take to earn. Well, I'm glad you asked. Allow me to explain. So in my 264 hours of playing Splitgate, I eventually came up with a foolproof strategy, which could result in matches being won in about 3 to 5 minutes. So, remember how I said that the game's player base plummeted? Well, in the case where the game couldn't matchmake you with any players, the game would fill your lobby with bots. After a few trials, I managed to figure out how to exploit the bots' AI for painless victories. In the game mode of Flying Split Ball, bots couldn't fly. So I'd float above them, holding the ball, or land somewhere where they couldn't reach. This was a really easy way to win. However, it was a double-edged sword. To get that bot lobby, matchmaking had to fail. So the queue time? On average, it was 8 minutes. Sometimes even longer. If a real sweaty player joined, I had to back out. This wait time took so long and was so boring that between games, during my streams, I started playing Minesweeper and other games just waiting for the next match. So under ideal circumstances, at minimum, if you had to win 1047 games, and each game took about 3.5 minutes, with an 8-minute queue time, with an 100% win rate, with none of the wins random not counting, without ever running into diehards, this single trophy would take you 200 hours, 40 minutes, and 30 seconds. Now, obviously, real life isn't the ideal scenario. In total, I played 1,394 matches and won 1,049, and my time to get this trophy clocked in at 264 hours. Ironically, that was still faster than if I did a pure bot farm method for 1,394 matches, because sometimes I could stomp real players in about 5 minutes and have a 30-second queue to the next active player game. So you could potentially get this trophy in less than 100 hours with perfect queue times and an active noob lobby, but realistically, that's impossible. And the cherry on top? It's a silver trophy. There aren't even any gold trophies in the whole game, just bronzes and a handful of silvers. It honestly feels like the devs added trophies at the last second. And no shame to the dev team at 1047 Games. They all seem like great guys from my experience in their community, with all the interesting events they've held during the lifecycle of Splitgate. But this trophy? Easily one of the worst ever made. Luckily, the good news is I think they got the memo that their achievement making process needed an overhaul. Because in Splitgate 2, they added a platinum, a medley of bronze, silver, and gold trophies, and even though they brought back the 1047 trophy, now it's for 1047 kills, not wins, and it's gold this time. Although, there is still one new trophy that scares me. All in all, after earning over 10,558 trophies, this one still stands out as the worst. If you think there's a trophy worse than this, drop it in the comments. And if you enjoyed the deep dive into my trophy pain, hit that subscribe button. And I'll see you in the next video. This is Task, signing off.